Hello lovely people, how are you? I hope you're all well. I'm Kelly from Bespoke Creative Design and I hope you've already seen some of my videos. If you haven't, each week I'm trying to release a small craft making video to help us through lockdown really, in case anybody's bored at home. Some of the projects are aimed at children but adults can have a go at them too, sorry I should say. Today's one is definitely aimed at all ages. If it's for very little hands, then adults, you need to be around to help with this one because it's quite fiddly in terms of the size of what we're making. It's quite small, so little hands might need a bit of help. If you want to catch up with any of my other crafting videos, they're all free workshops, all using materials from around the home, so no great expense, no trips to pricey art shops are needed. You can catch up with those on www.bespokecreativedesign.co.uk, or you can search me on YouTube because apparently I have a channel. There you go, never knew. So today's art workshop, the cheap material, the main crux of the video, is based around a clothes peg. I could do hundreds of videos on clothes pegs art. They are an incredibly versatile material and so cheap. And I'm sure we've all got some of these laying around the home. I had a couple of videos requesting something to do with dance and tanks or planes, random requests. So I've tried to combine both using this clothes peg idea. If I show you, so we've made a small little wooden plane, like so, from a clothes peg. Dead easy, really simple, but very nice to make. And you can add as much detail to that as you want. So I've put a little propeller on the front there, but you don't have to go to that detail. And the other one, based on dance, I thought ballerina. It's based on another peg, little peg pom-pom doll. Glue gun hanging from her hair. I turn her around, and again you can add loads of detail to that. The little ballet shoes at the bottom there. Really easy to make. The pom-pom part is a little bit fiddly. We'll definitely need a bit of adult help with that one. And it's more the size of these objects that makes them tricky to hold for little hands. So yeah, adults, get ready to help if that's okay. Right, I will show you how to make the little wooden plane. It's so simple. It'll take me probably about 5 minutes to tell you the different parts and sizes of things that I've used, and then it'll be over to you. So I've taken a wooden clothes peg, like so, and painted it whatever colour you want really. If you haven't got any paint, because these pegs aren't varnished, they're unfinished, felt tip pen takes to them brilliantly as well. If you're lucky and you have any of these craft paint pens, Posca pens, I absolutely thoroughly recommend them to go on your Christmas list if you haven't got them already. You can use those as well. Anything you've got to cover your peg in a colour for your aeroplane, like so. That's going to be the body of our plane, as you can see. Hold that one up, you can see what I mean. So then for the wings, I've used a stiff card. So you could use cereal box card, packaging card. I would try to avoid, if you can, this sort of thin card, simply because it might bow a little bit. This thicker card is a little bit more robust and is more suitable for the wings. But just to give you the dimensions on that, so you need 2 wings because it's a biplane. You need these 2 wings here. These measure for my peg, and you don't have to do it this size at all, 8 centimetres by 2 centimetres. That looked roughly right proportion wise for me. So if you want to go with that, it's 8 centimetres by 2, and you need 1 for the top and you need 1 for the bottom. So I've just covered, I had some thick card, I've covered it with some coloured card that I had. These ones I painted. You could use a felt tip pen again to colour out whatever might be on that card that you're not happy with. So you need 2 wings, like so, top and bottom. And then for the back of the plane, I'm not an aeronautical expert, I don't know the correct terminology. So if I call it the flat part, or the horizontal part of this tail here, this one measures 1.5 centimetres, I've written my dimensions down over there, 1.5 centimetres deep by 5 centimetres long. So they're all the horizontal parts of the plane. This part here, this I'm going to call it the fin. I know that's not the name of it. I'll show you how to make that in just a second. So you've got your 2 wings, and then you want to make your flat tail part here, as I say, 5 centimetres by 1.5. Then using whatever glue you have at home, PVA does work. Does take a while to set, so be patient with that one. If you've got an all-purpose glue, please use it with adult supervision. It's brilliant. It works almost immediately, but it's a bit stinky and definitely needs an adult around. Similarly, I'm going to use, as I tend to use on these make videos, my Cool Milk glue gun, just because it's instant. So if you've got one of these, again, please use with an adult around, because I don't want any fingers being burnt. So what we need to do is add the wings. And can you see the ridge here? That's kind of your guide. You want your wing to sit just in front, heading towards the top of the peg, just in front of that line in the middle there. So I'm going to put my glue, tilt my camera down a little bit there, put my glue, or your PVA or your double-sided tape would even work, just across that little ridge there where the hinge is, and position my first wing so it's central. Don't want it bigger one side than the other, like so. And the joys of glue gun means I can let go and it's already stuck. If you've used PVA, sit there and pinch it for about 30 seconds to a minute and that will stick perfectly. And then you're going to flip your plane over and do exactly the same on the other side. So you make a kind of peg sandwich. That's wonderfully appetising. Here we go. So I'm sticking the other one on. They're parallel. And the peg's right there in the middle. Give it a little squeeze. Make sure they're straight. Like so. And there's the wings to our plane already on. At the same time, we're going to stick that flat, I'm twisting that, sorry, as it's drying. We're going to stick that flat tail part onto the plane, the bit that measured 5 centimetres by 1.5. Now, I haven't covered both sides of my card because I want to show you something which will be hard to see if I put it the red side up. I want you to be able to see it very clearly, so I'm going to keep mine white, but imagine that I've painted that red or I've covered it in red to match the rest of the plane. I'm really sorry, I've made my wings go wonky as I was holding it there. I'm going to put a blob more glue underneath so I don't have wonky wings. And at the same time I'm going to stick that flat tail part on that I was just talking about. Here we go. Just at the back of the plane there, and I'm going to put it white side up so you can see what I'm talking about for the next part. Just let me hold that for a sec. And that's the tail right at the edge of the back of the peg there. See that? All these stringy bits of the glue gun hanging down. I'll clear that away in a moment. Right, I'm just going to set that to one side to dry. Now, like I say, I don't know the right words for this. I'm going to call it the fin, like the shark's fin there at the back. I'm going to show you how I made that. It's very, very easy. It's a nice simple shape. So on a piece of card, and again it might be a piece of card that you need to paint if you haven't got any of the right colour, I've measured a square which is a rectangle which is 2.5 centimetres high by 1.5 centimetres across, like so. If I hold it really close to the camera, I've also then rounded the corner off to make that fin shape. Ignore that dotted line there at the bottom just for a second. So I've just come up and rounded off that corner. I'm just going to cut that shape out very quickly so that I can demonstrate how this fin part attaches. There you go. Like so. Now I've been very accurate. I've measured up 0.5 centimetre and drawn this dotted line across. You don't really need to be that accurate, but I wanted to give you some direction in case that's how you work well. So what you need to do now is make a slit halfway along this fin up towards that dotted line. I shall do that. A little 0.5 centimetre slit. Snip up the middle there. Let me hold it up to the camera. Can you see that little slit there? There it is. Like so. Now what you need to do is bend half of the fin forward along that dotted line, like so. I've tilted it, or tilt it to the, what would that be, your left? Tilt it to the left, and the other half you're going to bend and tilt to the right and fold it to the right so that you can see, hold it up, you get a tab going each way. Very It's so little, it's hard to hold. I've got a tab on each side. When I stick it to the tail plane on that white side, which I left white on purpose, you'll see why you needed those tabs going in different directions. So let me just put a blob of glue there. Pritt stick will probably be easier for this so I don't burn my fingers. I'm putting the glue on those sticky outy tabs that go in each direction. Like that. And with my fin pointing in the right way, this is why I'm sticking it onto white, so that you can see how I'm pushing that fin down, that fin part down onto the plane. I've got a tab, half of it's being stuck this side and half stuck that side. You can see you get the tail of the plane there, like so. If I hold that one up, like that. Now before I stuck my tail on, if you wanted to, you could add decoration at that point before you stick it down. If you forget, as I just have in this teach, it happens, don't worry. You can actually fold that tail down flat and decorate it, and then push it in the other direction and decorate the other side. So not all is lost, don't worry if you forget to decorate before sticking it on. I've also found I had some round stickers in a drawer. You can put some stickers on the plane if you want to. If you haven't got any stickers, you can paint some on the plane, whatever works best, or cut some out of card. And you could leave it at that if you wanted to. If you really want to go for the detail and add the propeller at the front, I'll quickly show you a very quick way of coming up with the correct shape. So I had some black card, or whatever card you've got at home, and I've drawn round a 10p piece, like so. Now I'm going to use a white painting pen so that you can see the marks that I'm making. So you're going to divide, let me tilt the camera down as well. You're going to divide your circle into thirds, like so. 1, 2, really roughly. That looks like a big Y shape in the middle of your 10p piece circle. And then you're just going to fill out those lines a little bit. I really will try and tilt it down a bit more. Excuse the state of my table, I've been varnishing today and it's gone absolutely everywhere. And then you cut out this kind of shape. That's over exaggerated, I know, but you fill out like a propeller shape around those guidelines. And then very simply, tilt my camera back up, hello. I will cut out the world's smallest shape with the world's biggest pair of scissors. Here we go. Very quickly. And it will give you a rough propeller shape. There. So roughly something like that. It's really hard to hold up, it's so small. How about like that? There we go. That kind of shape. And you can stick that to the nose of your plane just here. So if you're using PVA, you haven't got much surface area, you haven't got much to stick that propeller to. If you're using PVA, just dip, the PVA was on my hand, dip the front of your plane like that into the glue and tap your propeller and pick it up. Let me see if I can do that for you. I was going to use a glue gun. Let me pour some of this glue out. Here it comes. So, I wasn't going to demonstrate this, but I will. There we are. So I've put a blob of PVA glue just there. And I'm going to dip my plane into that, my nose of my plane into that. And I don't have to worry about it because PVA dries clear. So don't worry if it looks a bit blobby at the moment. There we go, there's my PVA. And then I'm going to tap my propeller that I just cut out onto the glue and just leave it be to dry. I'll probably stand my peg up like that so that the propeller will dry and not get stuck to the table. And there you go, that will be, let me pop this one down and that out of the way. That will be your little wooden peg plane complete. And if you wanted to add any more details in here, you might want to draw a little pilot sitting there driving the plane, then flying the plane, then you can go ahead and do that. So that's the plane request ticked, the box ticked. So I've made a little wooden plane for you. There you go. The second part of the request was for a dancer, and if you remember, I said I was going to look at these ballerina pom-pom peg dolls. Now you don't have to keep it to a ballerina. I love these little dolls, especially with Christmas coming up. That light's quite bright. With Christmas coming up, you could turn this into a little angel or fairies or some glamorous lady wearing a ball gown of some kind, very strictly at the moment, and little shoes at the bottom there. So I will show you really quickly how to make these. The only fiddly part, as I say, is the pom-pom, but I'll get to that in just a moment. So you need to take your peg and you need to take it apart. So if you twist the components in opposite directions, you can see the hinge starts to come apart from the peg, and you can wiggle out the wooden legs, if you like, of the peg. You don't need that hinge. So there are your two parts of your peg, which are normally that way round. What you need to do is turn them, turn them, turn them until they are back to back, and it makes kind of like a body shape for you. Now what I will say is, before you stick your two parts together to make this body part, and you'll do that just by running some glue, either PVA or glue gun down there and sticking them together. If you were to make a tree decoration and you wanted to hang up your little pom-pom doll, now is the time to add a loop of string or a loop of ribbon onto one of those edges and sandwich the loop within the two sides of the peg like that, so the peg's already in there. So if you're going to add your loop, now is the time. So when that has set and you've stuck the two sides together and it's dry, it's time to decorate your dolly, your ballerina. And I'm not going to sit here and draw it painstakingly for you. You can work out how to do it yourself, I'm sure. I've used the world's smallest teeny tiny googly eyes simply because they make me laugh. That you can. The words aren't coming out right tonight. The top part of the peg, you can see, makes the head shape already there for you. You don't need to work out any of the proportions. This part where the notch is where the shoulders start, and this notch here very conveniently makes sort of where your nickel line would be and the top of the leg would be, as you can see there. So I've just followed those guidelines. I've drawn a small face on the top there, a little smiley face, and stuck the googly eyes on, but you can just use a pen to mark on the features. I've marked in a kind of leotard shape that goes along the shoulders and along sort of where the knicker line would be, around the back, painted on the hair. There's our knickers at the back, going round and back to the front. And you can colour that bodice in, or that leotard in, whatever colour you want it to be, doesn't matter at all. And if you wanted to add some little ballet shoes at the bottom, or just, I don't know, some going out shoes or glam shoes, you can add those there. If you're not too sure what to make the shoe shape like, just draw a line all the way around the bottom and colour that in. Okay, that will indicate the shoes. You could even dip it into PVA if you wanted to, and dip it then into some glitter, and you could have some sparkly like ruby shoes as in the Wizard of Oz. So there's lots of options there for you to choose, and that will be your body complete. Now comes the tricky part, and that's making this pom-pom frilly dress. So if I show you that, lip. Now the way you need to do this is you take a piece of card, like so, and fold it in half, because you're going to want two of these donut shapes. All I've done is draw around a jam jar lid to give you an idea of size. Regular jam jar lid. If you want to know the dimensions of that, I can tell you. It's 6.5 centimetres across diameter, and then I took a 10p piece and put that in the middle, drew around that, and you get this donut shape, which you then need to cut out, which I'll quickly do. The only reason I'm showing you this part is I want to show you how to cut out that centre if you're not sure how to get your scissors in there. So I'm cutting out both pieces of card at the same time, just for speed really. And this is only thin card. Again, you can use a cereal box for this. It doesn't need to be thick card at all. So that's the outside circle cut. How do we get into the middle there without injuring ourselves? The easiest way is to fold the card. I'm not fully putting a crease in it, I'm just folding it roughly, snipping into the middle like a V shape, opening it up. That makes like a bird's beak, as you can see, which I can slide my scissors into, like so, like that. I can slide my scissors into the beak shape and just cut out that middle circle like so, doing it really, really roughly, you'll get the idea. Take your time with that. So you end up with 2 donuts, which you then put together. I'm just going to put that down for 1 second. So I have a ball of wool. If you've got any wool at home, if you haven't, you could strip up some old material very thin into thin strips. That would work as well. It'd be more of a raggy kind of pom-pom, but I'm sure there's some wool lying around. And I made myself a small ball. Just rolled myself up into a small ball, a ball that will fit through that small hole of your donut. Because what you need to do is tie your wool to your 2 donut rings, which are together. So can you see they're tied up around there? And very simply, it's a case of popping the small ball of wool through the hole and wrapping it around the outside of the donut. So through the hole, around the outside of the donut. Wrapping all the way round as you go. This tiny little ball, believe it or not, will get me round probably twice round this donut. So all I'm doing is popping it in the hole and wrapping around the outside. I'm not going to show you that until that's all done because you'll fall asleep. And you'll end up with a fully wrapped donut like so, which you just tie off in a knot. Now this is the only fiddly part. What you need to do, there's 2 ways of doing this. I'm going to show you the easier way, I believe, is pop your body of your doll inside your soon-to-be pom-pom. And then you need, let me tilt the camera down, to move the wall apart so that you can see the card beneath there. Can you see that? What you need to do is get in between those 2 card donuts. Let me get in there with my scissors so I can show you, like so. So my scissors are between those 2 pieces of card, and I'm going to go round holding my dolly in place as I go, cutting the wool all the way round the edge of the donut. And I know you're thinking, why on earth are you holding the doll there? You'll see why in just a second. You go all the way round, take your time with it. There we go. Nearly there. Snipping round, snipping round. It doesn't matter if you cut the card, you're not going to use it again, or if you do, you can just cut yourself out another donut. There we go, until you've cut all the way round. You can see, like so. I'm just going to lay her down on the table for 1 second. So I'm going to take a length of wool, chop it off, like that, and I'm going to tilt the camera right down. Let me sweep some of this mess out of the way. So this wool needs to slide in between these 2 pieces of card, between the 2 donuts there, right in the middle of the 2. So wrap it inside there, and then you're going to tie a great big knot between the 2 pieces of card and pull it tight so it can't go any tighter. So you know it's around, tied tight around the peg doll. And then you do a double knot to make sure it's really secure. So 1 knot, and then 2 knots, and then just for luck do 3 knots. There we are. So at this stage your pom-pom doll will look a bit like this. What you need to do now is remove the card from the bottom very gently. Hold on to the bottom of your pom-pom, remove the card from the top, like that, and then just fluff out and fiddle around with the pom-pom there, and you can trim off all these loose ends. If the pom-pom's too big and fluffy, you can really trim it down and give it a haircut if you want to. Let me just cut these ends off. Now the reason we put the doll through the pom-pom at the middle when we were cutting is if you cut all your pom-pom edge first, what you'll find is as you push your doll in through all these cut bits of wool, they tend to fall out. So try and keep your doll in place as you're cutting the edges of those pom-poms. And she's pretty much finished there. So if I hold up my finished article just to show you some details that you can add. So obviously I had googly eyes that I had sitting around at home, but you don't need those. These pound shop gems, I talk about them all the time. Big sheet of gems. These are teeny tiny ones I've managed to make a little sparkly necklace for her from. I had from Hobbycraft, believe it or not, some of these little bows. They're 25, I think, for a pound. Obviously, you're trying to avoid going out to the shops at the moment because they're shut. But you could tie up a little bit of ribbon there to put in her hair as well. Or you could put, like I say, you could put some glitter on her shoes and dip her feet in some glitter so they really sparkle. You could really go to town on these. I'll just show you a little tutu underneath. You could put some little buttons on her leotard there, or some patterning on the dress, however you want it to look. So there you go, a ballet dancer box is ticked, and the Tanks and Planes box is ticked, all with little clothes pegs from home. There you go, very simple. So I hope you enjoyed those. As a quicker video than normal, I think. I hope to see you again next week, where I'll try and come up with something else for you. If you've got anything that you want making, please give me a shout. I'll put my mind to it. In the meantime, please take care and stay safe. Take care. Bye.